Alex Carter pushed his wheelchair closer to the window as rain hammered against the glass. Lightning split the dark Montana sky, making the old ranch house shake with each thunderclap. He loved storms like this. They made him feel small but not helpless, which was a rare feeling these days. "Alex, get away from that window before you get struck," his grandmother Rose called from the kitchen. Her voice carried the same worry it had held for 3 years now, ever since the accident that took away the use of his legs. "I'm fine, Grandma," Alex replied, not moving from his spot. At 15, he had learned to pick his battles with Rose. She meant well, but sometimes her protection felt more like a cage than care. The next flash of lightning was different. Instead of the usual white brilliance, this one glowed blue-green and seemed to hang in the air for several seconds. Alex pressed his face against the cold glass, watching as something streaked across the sky toward the forest behind their property. It moved too slowly to be lightning and too fast to be an aircraft. "Did you see that?" Alex shouted. Rose appeared in the doorway, wiping her hands on a dish towel. "See what?" "That light." Something crashed in the woods. His grandmother looked out the window at the dark tree line. "Nothing but lightning, dear. This storm has you seeing things." Alex wanted to argue, but Rose had already returned to the kitchen. He stayed at the window for another hour, watching for any sign of fire or unusual light in the forest. Nothing appeared except more rain and darkness. Sleep came hard that night. Alex kept thinking about the strange blue-green glow and the way it had moved across the sky. By morning, the storm had passed, leaving the world clean and bright. Rose made breakfast while Alex checked the weather reports and news feeds on his tablet. No mention of any crashes or unusual phenomena in their area. "I'm going out to check the fence line," Alex announced after finishing his eggs. Rose frowned. "In that wheelchair, the ground will be all mud and the wheelchair is designed for rough terrain. You bought it, remember?" Alex smiled to soften his words. "Besides, I need to get out. I've been cooped up all winter." It was true. Since his accident, Alex had thrown himself into online studies, learning everything he could about space, alien life, and xenobiology. But spring was finally here, and even someone who couldn't walk needed fresh air and sunshine. Rose eventually agreed, making him promise to stay on the paths and be back by lunch. Alex set off across their property, his electric wheelchair handling the damp ground better than she had expected. The ranch stretched for several hundred acres, most of it wild land that backed up against national forest. Alex had a destination in mind. There was an old mining area about a mile from the house where his grandfather had once searched for copper. The mines had been abandoned for decades, but Alex remembered playing near them as a child, before the accident changed everything. The path to the mines took him close to where he thought the strange light had fallen. Alex decided to make a small detour, following deer trails deeper into the forest than he had been in years. His wheelchair's wide treads grabbed well on the forest floor, and he felt a familiar thrill at being somewhere difficult and wild. He found the crash site in a small clearing surrounded by tall pine trees. The ground was torn up in a long furrow, and several trees bore scorch marks on their trunks. But there was no wreckage, no pieces of metal or plastic, just disturbed earth, and an odd smell in the air like ozone mixed with something floral. Alex was about to leave when he heard a sound from the direction of the old mines. It was faint, almost like wind through the trees, but with a musical quality that made him think of whale songs he had heard in documentaries. Following the sound, Alex made his way to the entrance of the largest mine shaft. It had been sealed, with iron bars years ago, but the barrier was twisted and broken now as if something large had forced its way through from the inside. The musical sound came again, clearer this time and definitely from within the mine. Alex hesitated. Going into an abandoned mine was dangerous enough for someone with working legs. For someone in a wheelchair, it could be deadly. But the sound called to him. It seemed sad and lonely, and Alex knew those feelings well. He turned on his wheelchair's headlights and moved carefully through the broken barrier. The mine tunnel was wider than he had expected, and his wheelchair's lights revealed smooth rock walls that stretched beyond his vision. The musical sound grew stronger as he moved deeper, echoing off the walls in complex harmonies. 50 yards into the mine, Alex found the source of the music. A creature lay on the tunnel floor, unlike anything he had ever seen. It was roughly the size of a small horse but built more like a giant cat, with 4 powerful legs ending in claws that gleamed like metal. Its body was covered in scales that shifted color in his lights, moving from deep blue to silver to a warm gold. 2 enormous wings were folded against its back, their membranes torn and bleeding a luminescent fluid that glowed faintly in the darkness. The creature's head was long and elegant, with large eyes that reflected Alex's lights like mirrors. When it saw him, the musical sound stopped, replaced by a low growl that vibrated through the rock. Alex should have been terrified. Instead, he felt only wonder and concern. The creature was obviously hurt and possibly dying. Its breathing was labored and the glowing fluid from its wings had pooled on the mine floor. "It's okay," Alex said softly, the way he had once spoken to injured animals on the ranch. "I'm not going to hurt you." The creature studied him with those mirror eyes, tilting its head like a curious dog. Then, impossibly, Alex heard a voice inside his mind. "Human child. You are broken like me." The voice was neither male nor female, but something else entirely. It carried emotions along with words, pain, loneliness, and a vast sadness that made Alex's heart ache. "I'm Alex," he said aloud, not sure if the creature could hear his thoughts in return. "What are you?" "I am. The word does not exist in your language. You may call me Kestra. I am far from home and badly damaged. Can I help you?" The creature, Kestra, made that musical sound again, softer this time. "You cannot repair what is broken in me, young Alex. But your presence brings comfort. I have been alone for so long." Alex moved his wheelchair closer, studying Kestra's injuries. The tears in the wing membranes looked like they might heal if kept clean and protected. The luminescent fluid was probably some kind of alien blood, but it didn't seem to be flowing as heavily now. "I know about being broken," Alex said. "I've been in this chair for 3 years, but broken doesn't mean useless." Kestra's scales shimmered through several color changes. "You speak wisdom beyond your years, Alex Carter. How do you know my full name? Your thoughts are loud, not in a bad way. You think with great feeling and curiosity. It is refreshing, after so much silence." Alex spent the next 2 hours with Kestra, learning that the creature was indeed from another world, part of something called the Arcturus Federation. Kestra's ship had been damaged in what it described as a navigation error, forcing an emergency landing on Earth. "Are there others coming to find you?" Alex asked. Kestra's scales darkened. "Eventually, but not soon. I was scouting ahead. The others will not expect contact for some time." As the day wore on, Alex realized he had found something he had been missing since his accident, a friend who didn't see him as broken or limited. Kestra never mentioned his wheelchair or treated him with the careful kindness that other people used around him. When it was time to leave, Alex promised to return the next day with medical supplies and food. He wasn't sure what an alien dragon might eat, but he could figure it out. "Be careful, Alex Carter," Kestra warned. "If others of your kind find me, it could go badly for both of us." "I won't tell anyone," Alex promised. "This is our secret." As he made his way back through the forest, Alex felt more alive than he had in years. He had found something amazing, something that needed his help. For the first time since his accident, he felt truly useful again. Behind him in the mine, Kestra watched the human boy leave and tried to ignore the guilt growing in its mind. Alex Carter was kind and brave, and everything the Federation said, humans were not. This was going to make everything much more complicated than planned. 3 weeks had passed since Alex discovered Kestra in the old mine, and his life had completely changed. Every morning after breakfast, he would pack his backpack with supplies and head out to the forest, telling his grandmother he was studying plant life for his online botany course. Rose seemed pleased that Alex was showing interest in the outdoors again. She had no idea that he was caring for an injured alien in an abandoned mine shaft. Alex had become an expert at sneaking medical supplies from their first aid kit and food from the pantry. Kestra, it turned out, could eat almost anything organic, though the creature seemed to prefer sweet fruits and vegetables. Alex had watched in fascination as Kestra's damaged wing membranes slowly healed, the tears closing and the luminescent fluid stopping its flow. "Your healing is amazing," Alex said during one of their afternoon visits. "On humans, injuries like yours would take months to heal, if they healed at all." Kestra's scales shifted to a warm gold color, which Alex had learned meant contentment. "My people are designed for survival. We must be, given the distances we travel between worlds. Tell me about your world," Alex said, settling his wheelchair more comfortably on the mine floor. These conversations had become his favorite part of each day. Kestra's eyes grew distant, and through their mental connection, Alex began to see images that took his breath away. Cities that floated in the clouds above an ocean world, their buildings made of some material that looked like crystallized light. Creatures that swam through the air as easily as fish swam through water. Forests of trees that sang in harmony with the wind. Arcturus 7 is beautiful, Kestra said, but cold in ways that have nothing to do with temperature. My people value efficiency above all else. They would not understand this. Friendship we have formed. Friendship? Alex felt a warm glow in his chest. He had hoped Kestra saw their relationship that way, but hearing it confirmed made him happier than he had been in years. Is that not the correct word? You bring me food and medicine, though you gain nothing in return. You spend time with me, though I cannot move from this place. You listen to my stories of distant worlds, though they bring you no practical benefit. If this is not friendship, what is it? That's exactly what friendship is, Alex laughed. Though I do gain something in return. You make me feel normal, useful, like being in a wheelchair doesn't define everything about me. Kestra's scales rippled through several colors, settling on a deep blue that Alex had learned indicated deep thought. You are the strongest human I have encountered, Alex Carter. Your physical limitations have not limited your mind or spirit. I haven't encountered many humans, Alex pointed out. Just me. That is not entirely true. I have been monitoring your people's communications since my arrival. Your internet is quite fascinating. So much information, but also so much anger and fear. Alex nodded. People can be pretty terrible online, but they're not all like that. My grandmother is kind. My physical therapist, Dr. Wilson, pushes me hard, but only because she wants me to get stronger. There are good people out there. Perhaps, but your governments and military forces seem quick to resort to violence when faced with the unknown. Well, yeah. If they found you, they'd probably want to study you or capture you. That's why we have to be careful. Alex had been thinking about this problem for weeks. How long could he keep Kestra secret? And what would happen when the creature was fully healed? As if reading his thoughts, Kestra said, I will be able to fly again soon. My ship cannot be repaired, but I can signal my people for rescue. How long until they arrive? Several of your months, perhaps longer. Interstellar travel is not fast, even with our technology. Alex felt a stab of sadness at the thought of Kestra leaving, but he pushed it down. His friend deserved to go home. Their conversations weren't always about alien worlds and technology. Kestra was endlessly curious about human culture and emotions. Alex found himself explaining everything from music to humor to why humans kept pets. We don't own them, Alex said, trying to explain the concept of pet ownership to a being from a species that apparently had no equivalent. It's more like a partnership. They give us companionship and love, we give them food and care and a safe place to live. But they are not your equals intellectually. No, but they don't need to be. Love doesn't require equal intelligence. It just requires caring about someone else's well-being more than your own comfort. Kestra went very still at these words, scales flickering between colors too quickly for Alex to interpret. That is a profound concept. Alex had started bringing his tablet to the mine, showing Kestra human art and music and movies. The alien creature was particularly fascinated by animated films, which seemed to capture its imagination in ways that live-action Movies didn't. The drawings move with such grace, Kestra mused after watching a nature documentary told through animation. Your artists understand motion better than your cameras do. It's because animators have to think about every single movement, Alex explained. They can't just point a camera and record. They have to understand how things really move and then recreate it frame by frame. Fascinating. Your species puts great effort into creating beauty that serves no survival purpose. That's what makes us human, Alex said proudly. We do things just because they're beautiful or meaningful, not because they help us survive. These conversations were changing Alex in ways he didn't fully understand. His online coursework, which had always been challenging, suddenly seemed easier. Concepts in physics and biology that had confused him before now made sense. He found himself thinking about problems from multiple angles, considering perspectives he had never imagined before. Dr. Wilson noticed the change during his weekly physical therapy session. "You're more focused today," she said as Alex worked on his upper body strengthening exercises, and stronger. "Have you been doing extra workouts at home?" "Just been getting outside more," Alex said, which was technically true. "Fresh air and sunshine help." "That's great to hear. You seem more confident lately, more engaged with the world." Alex realized she was right. For 3 years he had felt like he was watching life happen to other people. Now he felt like an active participant again, even if most of that participation involved talking to an alien in an abandoned mine. His grandmother noticed the change too. "You're happier," Rose observed one evening as they ate dinner together. "More like your old self." "I'm growing up, I guess," Alex said. "Learning to adapt." "I'm proud of you," Rose said, reaching across the table to squeeze his hand. "I know. These last few years have been hard. But you're becoming quite a remarkable young man." If only she knew how remarkable his life had become. That night, Alex lay in bed thinking about Kestra's eventual departure and the secret he was keeping from everyone he cared about. He felt guilty about lying to his grandmother and Dr. Wilson, but he also knew that protecting Kestra was the right thing to do. Through their mental connection, which seemed to be growing stronger every day, he could sense Kestra's presence in the mine. The alien creature rarely slept, spending most nights thinking about things it wouldn't share with Alex. "Are you sad about something?" Alex projected the thought toward the mine, not sure if Kestra would hear him at this distance. "Go to sleep, young friend. Tomorrow I will tell you stories of the great crystal cities of Vega Prime." Alex smiled and closed his eyes, looking forward to another day of impossible friendship and wonder. He had no idea that in the mine, Kestra was struggling with secrets of its own, secrets that would soon shatter the perfect world they had built together. Alex's world collapsed on a Tuesday morning in May, 6 weeks after he first discovered Kestra in the mine. He had been bringing his alien friend fresh strawberries from Rose's garden when everything went wrong. Kestra was fully healed now, able to stand and move around the mine tunnel with fluid grace. Its wings, once torn and bleeding, now gleamed like polished metal in the light from Alex's wheelchair. The creature could probably fly again, though it claimed to be waiting for the right moment to signal for rescue. "I brought strawberries," Alex announced cheerfully as he rolled into the mine. "And some of those energy bars you liked?" Kestra's greeting was unusually subdued. The creature's scales were a dull gray color that Alex had never seen before, and its large eyes seemed to be looking everywhere except at him. Kestra's voice in his mind was strained. "We need to discuss something important." "Are you sick? You look different today." Alex moved his wheelchair closer, concerned for his friend's well-being. "Sit further back, please." The urgent tone made Alex stop and study Kestra more carefully. The creature's whole body seemed tense, coiled like a spring ready to release. "What's wrong?" Alex asked. Instead of answering, Kestra did something it had never done before. Without warning, its mind fully opened to Alex's, flooding the boy's consciousness with memories that weren't his own. Alex gasped as alien images crashed through his thoughts. He saw Kestra's home world, but not the beautiful floating cities the creature had shown him before. Instead, he saw massive military installations, factories that stretched to the horizon, and beings like Kestra being loaded into ships by the thousands. No, stop. Alex heard Kestra trying to close the mental connection, but it was too late. The memories kept flowing. Alex saw the truth about the Arcturus Federation. They weren't explorers or peaceful travelers. They were conquerors, moving from world to world, taking what they needed, and eliminating any species that might threaten their expansion. He saw Earth as the Federation saw it, a blue-green jewel covered with a dangerous infestation of rapidly breeding humans who were spreading beyond their home planet and might someday challenge Federation dominance. But worst of all, he saw the real reason Kestra had come to Earth. The creature wasn't a scout in the way Alex had imagined. It was a weapon. Inside Kestra's body were billions of microscopic organisms designed specifically to target human DNA. Once released into Earth's atmosphere, they would spread like wildfire, creating a plague that would kill 90% of humanity while leaving all other life untouched. The organisms were supposed to activate automatically once Kestra's injuries healed. The entire crash had been planned, a way to get the biological weapon onto Earth's surface without detection. Stop. Kestra finally managed to slam its mind closed, cutting off the flow of memories. Alex stared at his friend in horror, his whole body shaking. "You're here to kill us, all of us." "I was," Kestra said quietly. "But Alex, you must understand. Get away from me." Alex's voice was barely a whisper. "Please listen. The organisms should have activated days ago. The fact that they haven't means something has changed, something I don't understand." "Changed how?" Alex felt sick to his stomach. Everything he thought he knew about Kestra, about their friendship, had been a lie. Kestra's scales shifted to deep purple, a color Alex now realized meant shame. I believe my feelings for you have disrupted my programming. The weapon was designed to activate in a being focused solely on its mission, but I have become attached to you, to this place, to the idea that humans might be more than the Federation believes. So you haven't killed everyone yet because you like me?" Alex's voice rose. "That's supposed to make me feel better? I know how this sounds, but Alex, I need you to understand that I never expected to care about your species. The Federation told us you were violent, primitive, destructive, but you showed me kindness when I was helpless. You brought me food and medicine and asked for nothing in return. You shared your loneliness with me and listened to my stories. You made me feel less alone in the universe." Alex wanted to leave, to get as far away from Kestra as possible, but he was also terrified of what might happen if he did. "If you go away from me, will the weapon activate? I don't know. Possibly. And if other people find you, their attempts to study me might trigger it accidentally. The organisms are designed to activate under stress." Alex put his head in his hands, overwhelmed by the impossible situation. His best friend in the world was a living doomsday weapon, and only their friendship was keeping humanity alive. "Alex, there is a way to stop it. But what? The organisms can be neutralized, but only by destroying my entire biological system. It would kill me." Alex looked up sharply. "There has to be another way. There is not. And even if there were, I lack the courage to choose death. I want to live, Alex. I want to see my home again, even knowing what my people are." For several long minutes they sat in silence. Alex's mind raced through possibilities, but every scenario seemed to end in disaster. If he told the authorities about Kestra, their attempts to study the creature might trigger the weapon. If Kestra left to rejoin its people, the organisms might activate. And if they did nothing, the Federation would eventually arrive anyway. "How long do we have?" Alex finally asked. "The rescue signal was sent automatically when I healed. My people will arrive in perhaps 4 months, and they'll expect to find Earth mostly empty." Yes, Alex felt a new kind of despair settling over him. 4 months to figure out how to save humanity, when the solution might require sacrificing the only real friend he had ever had. "Alex, Kestra said gently. I am sorry. Sorrier than you can know. If I could undo what I am, what I was sent to do, I would. I know, Alex said, and realized he meant it. Whatever Kestra had been programmed to do, the creature he had come to know over these past weeks was real. The friendship they had built was real, even if it had started under false pretenses. I need to think, Alex said. I need time to figure this out. Of course. But Alex, please be careful who you trust with this knowledge. If the wrong people learn about me, it could end badly for everyone. As Alex made his way back through the forest, his mind churned with terrible possibilities. He had always dreamed of first contact with alien life, but he had imagined it would bring wonder and knowledge and hope for the future. Instead, it had brought him the most impossible choice imaginable. That evening at dinner, Rose noticed his mood immediately. You look upset, dear. Did something happen during your nature walk? Alex pushed food around his plate, trying to think of how to answer. Just thinking about the future, I guess. Whether I'll ever be able to do anything important with my life. Rose reached across the table and took his hand. Alex, you're 15 years old. You have your whole life ahead of you to do important things. But what if I had to make a really hard choice? Like one where someone I cared about might get hurt no matter what I decided? His grandmother studied his face carefully. Is this about a girl? Despite everything, Alex almost smiled. No, Grandma, not a girl. Well, whatever it is, remember that the hardest choices are usually between things that are both right and wrong at the same time. When that happens, you have to look at which choice you can live with and which one you can't. That night, Alex lay awake staring at the ceiling and thinking about choices he could and couldn't live with. Through their mental connection, he could feel Kestra's presence in the mine, probably thinking about the same impossible problem. Somewhere out in space, ships full of alien conquerors were heading toward Earth, expecting to find a world cleansed of human life, and the only thing standing between humanity and extinction was the friendship between a paralyzed boy and a creature designed to destroy everything he had ever loved. Alex closed his eyes and tried to think of solutions that would save everyone. But deep down, he was beginning to understand that some problems don't have happy endings for everyone involved. 2 weeks after learning the truth about Kestra, Alex still had no idea how to solve the impossible problem they faced. Every night, he lay awake thinking through scenarios that all seemed to end in disaster. Every day he returned to the mine to sit with his friend and pretend their world hadn't fallen apart. The pretending became harder when helicopters began circling the area. Alex first noticed them on a Wednesday morning as he made his way through the forest. Military helicopters flying in careful search patterns over the mountains. His blood ran cold as he realized what it meant. They're looking for you, he told Kestra as soon as he reached the mine. I know. I can sense their electromagnetic scanning equipment. It is only a matter of time before they find this location. We need to move you somewhere else. Kestra's scales shifted to that deep purple that meant sadness. I cannot fly long distances, yet. And moving will only delay the inevitable. Over the next few days, the search intensified. Alex learned from local news that a government research team was investigating atmospheric anomalies in the area. The team was led by someone called Colonel Hayes and included various scientists and military personnel. If they find me, Kestra explained during one of Alex's visits, their attempts to study my biology will almost certainly trigger the weapon. The organisms respond to stress and invasive procedures, so we can't let them find you, and we cannot let me leave, because the stress of separation from you might also trigger the release. I am trapped, Alex. We are both trapped. Alex spent hours researching everything he could find about biological weapons and alien contact protocols. Most of what he found was either science fiction or government documents he couldn't access. But one thing became clear. If the authorities discovered an alien creature on Earth, their first instinct would be to capture and study it. What if I told them the truth? Alex asked during one particularly frustrating conversation. What if I explained about the weapon and asked them to help us find another solution? Do you trust your government to believe the word of a paralyzed child over their own need to possess alien technology? Alex had to admit that Kestra had a point. Even if the authorities believed him, they would still want to study Kestra. The temptation to unlock alien secrets would be too strong. There is still the option I mentioned before, Kestra said quietly. No. Alex's voice was firm. I won't let you kill yourself. There has to be another way. Alex, I have been thinking about this problem for days. The biological weapon was designed by the most advanced scientists in the Federation. There is no way to neutralize it except through my death. Then why haven't you done it already? Kestra was quiet for so long that Alex thought their mental connection had been broken. Finally, the creature's voice returned, smaller and more vulnerable than he had ever heard it. Because I am afraid. Because despite everything I was taught about duty and sacrifice, I want to live. Because these weeks with you have been the happiest of my existence, and I do not want them to end. Alex felt tears building in his eyes. I don't want them to end either. But they must. You know this as well as I do. The helicopters were getting closer. That afternoon, Alex watched from his bedroom window as military vehicles appeared on the main road leading to their ranch. They were setting up a perimeter, probably planning to search every building and cave in the area. At dinner, Rose mentioned that government people had been asking questions in town. They wanted to know if anyone had seen unusual lights or heard strange sounds. I told them we hadn't noticed anything. Alex nodded, trying to keep his expression neutral while his heart raced. That night, he snuck out to the mine for what he knew might be the last time. Kestra was waiting for him, scales flickering between colors too quickly to read. They will find this place tomorrow, the creature said. Their equipment is very sophisticated. Then we run. Tonight. I'll help you get somewhere safer. Alex, listen to me. Even if we could hide successfully, my people will arrive in less than 3 months. When they do, they will expect to find Earth's population reduced to manageable levels. If it is not, they will use much more direct methods to eliminate your species. Like what? Orbital bombardment, engineered plagues that work faster than mine. Complete sterilization of your planet's surface. Alex stared at his friend in horror. So either way, humanity dies? Unless what? Unless humanity is ready to fight back. Unless you have grown strong enough to defend yourselves. For the first time since learning the truth, Alex felt a spark of hope. You mean if we knew they were coming, if we had time to prepare? Your species is remarkably adaptable and innovative. Given warning and time, you might develop defenses that even the Federation would respect. But that would require someone who understands their technology, someone who has seen their ships and weapons. Kestra's scales suddenly blazed with golden light. Yes, it would require exactly that. Alex's mind began racing through possibilities. If you neutralize the weapon but don't die, if there's a way to burn out just the organisms without killing you, the process would be agonizing and might leave me brain damaged. I would not be the same creature you have befriended, but you'd be alive, and you could help humanity prepare for what's coming. Alex, the risk is enormous. If the process fails, the weapon releases anyway. If I survive but damaged, I might not remember enough to be useful. And even if everything works perfectly, your people would still need to accept help from someone they see as an enemy. Alex thought about his grandmother's kindness, Dr. Wilson's patience, even Colonel Hayes' dedication to protecting people. Humans can be pretty amazing when we need to be. We might surprise you. You already have, my friend. You have surprised me every day since we met. They spent the rest of the night planning. Kestra explained the process that might neutralize the biological weapon, a controlled overload of the creature's nervous system that would burn out the organisms while hopefully leaving Kestra's higher brain functions intact. I will need to generate intense bioelectrical feedback, Kestra explained. The organisms are connected to my nervous system. If I can create enough neural static, they should die without taking me with them. How do we trigger that kind of feedback? Pain, unfortunately. Intense, focused pain that overwhelms my system's ability to regulate itself. Alex winced. That sounds horrible. It will be. But Alex, you must understand. Even if this works, even if I survive, the authorities will want to lock me away and study me. I will need someone to speak for me, to help them understand that I want to help. I'll do it. I'll make them listen. As dawn approached, they could hear vehicles moving closer through the forest. Time was running out. Are you ready? Kestra asked. Alex looked at his friend, this beautiful, impossible creature who had changed his life in every way that mattered. Are you? No. But that has never stopped me before. Kestra closed its eyes and began the process that would either save humanity or doom it. Alex watched as the creature's scales began to glow brighter and brighter, its whole body beginning to convulse with what he knew was unbearable pain. Whatever happens, Kestra's voice whispered in his mind, thank you for showing me what friendship means. Outside the mine, Alex could hear engines and voices getting closer. In a few minutes, everything would change forever. He just hoped they would all survive to see what came next. The pain was worse than anything Kestra had ever experienced. Alex watched helplessly as his friend's body arched and twisted, scales blazing with light so bright he had to shield his eyes. The creature's mental scream echoed through his mind, a sound of agony that made him want to beg Kestra to stop. But he didn't, because somewhere in that terrible shriek, Alex could hear something else. Determination. Kestra was fighting not just the pain, but the very purpose it had been created for. The light grew brighter and Alex felt something change in their mental connection. Instead of just hearing Kestra's thoughts, he began to see flashes of the creature's memories. Not the dark military images from before, but something else entirely. He saw Kestra as a young being on its home world, before the Federation's training. He saw a creature that had once swum through crystal lakes and sung with others of its kind under alien stars. He saw the gradual transformation as military conditioning replaced natural curiosity with dutiful obedience. And then, through the pain and chaos, Alex felt something wonderful and terrible happening. Kestra's memories were flowing into him, not just as images but as actual knowledge. The creature was giving him everything: star charts, technology specs, cultural information, tactical data about the approaching Federation fleet. Take it, Kestra's voice whispered in his mind. Take it all. Your people will need every advantage. Kestra, don't, Alex tried to say, but the words wouldn't come. The flow of information was overwhelming his own thoughts. Outside the mine, Alex could hear boots on stone and voices shouting, orders. The rescue team had found them. With a final burst of light that lit up the entire tunnel, Kestra collapsed. The creature's scales went gray and lifeless, and the mental connection between them went silent. Alex sat frozen in his wheelchair, his mind reeling from everything Kestra had shared with him. He had knowledge now that no human had ever possessed: the locations of habitable worlds, the secrets of faster-than-light travel, the weaknesses in Federation ship design. But his friend was gone. Bright lights flooded the mine as soldiers rushed in, weapons raised. Behind them came a woman in a lab coat who Alex assumed was one of the scientists. Don't move, one of the soldiers ordered, though Alex couldn't have moved if he wanted to. He was still processing the vast library of alien knowledge now stored in his human brain. Dr. Nina Powell pushed past the soldiers and knelt beside Kestra's still form. She pulled out scanning equipment and began taking readings. It's alive, she announced, but barely. We need to get it to the facility immediately. What about the kid? Colonel Hayes asked, appearing in the tunnel entrance. Dr. Powell looked at Alex for the first time, taking in his wheelchair and his obvious emotional distress. He was probably just exploring and stumbled onto it by accident. Alex almost corrected her, but something in Kestra's transferred memories warned him to stay quiet for now. Let them underestimate him. Let them think he was just an innocent victim of circumstance. They loaded Kestra's unconscious form onto a stretcher and carried the creature out of the mine. Alex followed in his wheelchair, surrounded by soldiers who probably thought he was in shock. In a way, he was. The knowledge Kestra had given him was still settling into his mind, organizing itself in ways that would take weeks to fully understand. But already he could see things differently. The soldiers' equipment, the helicopters overhead, even the way the team was communicating. He understood now how primitive it all was compared to what was coming. Rose was waiting at the house, frantic with worry. "Alex, where have you been? These people said they were looking for you." "I'm okay, Grandma," Alex said, allowing her to fuss over him. "I was just exploring the old mines when they found me." Colonel Hayes questioned Alex for over an hour, but the boy stuck to his story. He was just a curious kid who had discovered something amazing in the woods. He didn't know what it was or where it came from. "Did it try to communicate with you?" Dr. Powell asked. Alex looked her straight in the eye. "How could it? It was unconscious the whole time I was there." It was technically true. Kestra had been unconscious when the rescue team found them. After the officials left, taking Kestra to some secret research facility, Alex retreated to his room and tried to process what had happened. Through their mental connection, he had felt the moment when Kestra's biological weapon died. The microscopic organisms had been completely destroyed by the neural feedback. Humanity was safe from that particular threat. But Kestra's memories told him that the Federation fleet would arrive in 10 weeks, not the 3 months they had originally estimated. And when they did, finding Earth still populated by humans, they would use much more direct methods of elimination. Alex spent the next several days organizing the knowledge Kestra had given him. He couldn't use it directly. A 15-year-old boy in a wheelchair claiming to have alien technology would be dismissed as delusional, but he could be clever about it. He started by publishing papers online under fake names, presenting theoretical solutions to problems in physics and engineering that had stumped scientists for years. He made the solutions seem like natural extensions of existing human research, not revolutionary breakthroughs. Within weeks, research teams around the world were following up on his anonymous suggestions. New engine designs that could achieve incredible efficiency, communication systems that could work faster than light, weapons that could penetrate energy, shields humans didn't even know existed yet. Alex also used his online classes to connect with university professors who specialized in space technology and defense systems. He asked seemingly innocent questions that guided their research in useful directions. But most importantly, he began working on a way to contact Kestra. The government facility where they were holding his friend was classified, but Alex had learned a lot about human data systems from Kestra's memories. He started hacking into government databases, looking for any information about the aliens' condition. What he found broke his heart. Kestra was alive but in a coma-like state. The neural damage from destroying the biological weapon had been severe. The creature showed some brain activity, but doctors couldn't determine if it was truly conscious. Alex spent weeks figuring out how to contact the facility's computer systems. When he finally broke through their security, he sent a simple message to the terminal in Kestra's medical room. "I'm still here, I'm still your friend, and I'm going to help you save both our peoples." The response came 3 days later, buried in the facility's data logs where only someone looking for it would find it. "Alex, damaged but alive. Federation fleet arrives in 43 days, preparing something to help you. Trust Dr. Powell. She understands more than the others." Over the following weeks, Alex watched as his anonymous contributions began to change human technology at an unprecedented rate. New materials that could withstand incredible temperatures, computer systems that could process information at speeds that seemed impossible, energy sources that could power cities. The world's governments noticed the sudden leap in technological capability, but they attributed it to the inspiration provided by discovering proof of alien life. They had no idea that a paralyzed teenager was guiding their research from his bedroom in Montana. 30 days before the Federation fleet was scheduled to arrive, something unexpected happened. Dr. Powell appeared on Alex's doorstep. "We need to talk," she said simply. Alex invited her in, his heart racing. Had they figured out his connection to Kestra? "Your friend is awake," Dr. Powell said without preamble, "and it's been asking for you." Alex stared at her in shock. "My friend? Please don't insult my intelligence, Alex. I've been studying that creature for 2 months. I know it's telepathic, and I know you two had some kind of relationship before we found you. Are you going to turn me in? Dr. Powell smiled, sadly. Turn you in for what? For befriending the most significant discovery in human history? For somehow convincing it to help us instead of harm us? It wants to help? It's been feeding us information about technologies we never dreamed of. Defensive systems, weapons, faster-than-light communication. It says we're going to need them soon. Alex felt tears starting in his eyes. Can I see it? That's why I'm here. It says there's something coming, and it needs to prepare you for what happens next. 3 hours later, Alex was in a secure government facility sitting beside a medical bed where Kestra lay connected to various monitoring devices. The creature looked smaller than he remembered, its scales a pale silver that spoke of exhaustion. Hello, my friend. Kestra's voice whispered in his mind, weak but unmistakably real. I thought I'd lost you, Alex said, not caring that Dr. Powell was watching their reunion. You nearly did. But I am too stubborn to die, and I had too much work left to do. The Federation fleet arrives in 28 days. But Alex, we have given your people gifts that will surprise even the Federation. Your species learns faster than any we have encountered. Dr. Powell leaned forward. It's been teaching us things that should take decades to understand, but our brightest minds are grasping the concepts in days. Your people are remarkable, Alex. They deserve a chance to prove themselves to the galaxy. Over the next 28 days, humanity transformed itself. Using technologies provided by Kestra and refined by human ingenuity, Earth developed defenses that could protect against orbital bombardment. They built ships capable of faster-than-light travel and weapons that could challenge even Federation technology. But more importantly, they prepared to send a message to the approaching fleet, not one of surrender or defiance, but of invitation. When the Federation ships finally arrived, they found Earth protected by energy shields and defended by vessels that looked primitive, but flew with impossible grace. They found humans who understood their language and technology, who offered trade and friendship instead of cowering in fear. And they found Alex Carter, now 16 years old, sitting in his wheelchair in the United Nations building, with Kestra beside him, ready to translate between two species who might just learn to be friends. The paralyzed boy who had bonded with an alien dragon had not only saved his world, he had opened a path to the stars that humanity could walk with dignity and pride. Not bad for a broken human and a damaged dragon, Kestra said as they watched the first joint Human Federation scientific expedition launch toward the nearby stars. We're not broken, Alex replied, smiling at his friend. We're just different, and sometimes different is exactly what the universe needs.